Welcome to the Hilltop podcast. Hey Siddharth.
Hello, hello.
So, can you hear us? I hope all of you can hear us very clearly.
Yeah,
Today's topic is something which I'm 100% sure you guys have experienced. Political discussions and divisions at home have gone out of hand. Siddharth, share your thoughts on this.
uh, so, okay, two things. Yeah. First of all, these divisions have become uh, so much more profound and so much more intense only after 2014. उसके पहले भी discussions होते थे, debates होते थे, but it didn't get to a point where we wanted to kill each other. है ना? नाउ इट इज एट अ पॉइंट वेयर आप एंटी मोदी कुछ भी बोल दो बीजेपी सपोर्टर्स को तो वो लोग एकदम ऐसे ऑफेंड हो जाते हैं जैसे अब उनके पापा को बोल दिया है
Yeah,
which is not productive for a discussion like
right,
प्लस सी यू पीपल कैन से कि पॉलिटिकल डिस्कशन फालतू की बात है क्यों करना डिस्कस तुम कुछ इम्पैक्ट तो कर नहीं रहे हो
right.
बट नहीं आई एम सॉरी आई बेग टू डिफर सी ओनली फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई एम इन अजमेर कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी इन राजस्थान ठीक है सो
Okay,
आई विल डिस्कस अजमेर का पॉलिटिक्स राइट आई
right,
बिकॉज आई हैव अ से हियर आई हैव अ वोट
right,
है ना तो इट इज माई राइट एंड ऑल्सो माई ड्यूटी टू हैव
right,
अ डिस्कशन विथ माई फेलो वोटर्स एंड
right.
गिव देम माई पर्सपेक्टिव कि बॉस मैं इस पार्टी को वोट दे रहा हूँ या इसको नहीं दे रहा हूँ क्योंकि मुझे ऐसा ऐसा लगता है अब वो हेल्दी डिस्कशन और डिबेट होके फिर डिसाइड होता था कि भाई चलो किसको वोट देना है किसको नहीं देना है ना पहले ये
Right,
होता था मतलब अपनी फैमिलीज में वी डिबेटेड लीडर्स वी डिबेटेड पॉलिसीज वी
right.
डिबेटेड द pitfalls and the shortcomings but also the good works that the governments have been doing है ना
Absolutely.
अभी the discussion has completely shifted to personalities. It's only a question of मोदी versus who. सामने तो पप्पू है उसको क्यों वोट देंगे I don't see
Right,
any discussions on healthcare, on education, on policies, है ना
right.
जो कि पहले होता था
A-
और मजा आता था अभी वो मजा ही नहीं रहा है यार अभी बस चिल्लम चिल्ली पे आ जाते हैं या फिर ऐसे कैसे बोल
yeah.
दिया जवान सेना पे खड़े हैं ठीक है यार
And this has caused a lot of issues.
it
And
has it
I
has
mean, so, just for some perspective, I have no problem with the current government. Neither do I have problem with these personalities. I have a problem with the way political discussions happen at home, because more often than not, when you start the conversation, when you start discussing something, you already know what the other person is gonna say. You already know what you're supposed to retort, and that's killed that entire
हाँ वो पॉइंट ही
opinion
नहीं बचा
forming
ना
process.
exactly the discussion used to happen so that we could form informative opinions we could form well informed opinions and then we could take a decision on who to vote for whether we're
Right,
supposed to vote for him or we're supposed to vote for him
right,
वो that has been taken away and that is what is troubling
right.
say they say you're a new voter right and you just get introduced like I remember this happening to me and we voted and we all came back and there was a discussion and one of my uncles asked me कि किसको वोट दिया and I was like I voted for Aam Aadmi Party because that's who I think makes more sense to me right now not Congress doesn't make sense
Huh,
BJP I don't really like so there's
uh-huh,
the only other option left for me is that so
huh,
he he instantly gave me a judgment. He
huh.
didn't even consider. He's like, वोट ही वेस्ट कर दिया तुमने तुमने तुम्हारा वोट ही वेस्ट कर दिया तुमने वोट ही क्यों किया तुमको वोट ही नहीं करना चाहिए था जब तुम्हें
Right,
वेस्ट ही करना है अपना वोट
huh.
तो आओ ही मत ना वोट देना आई एम लाइक बॉस वेट फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल मेरा वोट है ना
Like,
मेरे को वोट देने अभी मिल रहा है क्योंकि सरकार को लगता है कि मैं सक्षम हूँ ये डिसीजन लेने में तुमको
correct,
किसको वोट देना है ना तो
right.
फर्स्टली आप वो बोल ही नहीं सकते वोट वेस्ट या नहीं वेस्ट है ना और सेकेंडली माना मैंने कि भाई मैंने जिसको वोट दिया वो नहीं जीतेगा, है ना, तो क्या, मुझे उससे नहीं फर्क पड़ता बॉस. आई वोटेड फॉर समवन हु आई थिंक डिजर्व्स टू बी द लीडर, एंड दैट
Right.
इज व्हाट अ डेमोक्रेसी इज एट द एंड ऑफ द डे.
Right. You like it or not, that's what a democracy is.
हाँ, everybody gets to cast a vote. It's a universal adult franchise.
And the thing is, this particular, so apart from the voting part, right, even discussing governments or discussing policies, or I don't know, criticizing stuff, for example, or not criticizing stuff, for example, the way a lot of these debates and discussions have started going on at homes specifically have been very contentious. And this not just translates to politics. If
Wait,
you
what do you mean by contentious?
contentious is, it is always fierce opposition, always.
Right.
So say I have a point of view, and I consider, again, I don't know, but I like to think that I'm someone who is apolitical. I don't really care about,
There's nothing as apolitical, Nikhil. I'm
or
sorry to burst your
rather, you know, I'm
bubble.
someone who, depending on a topic, I'm willing to flip. I'm like, okay, this makes sense for this guy. This makes sense for this
Huh,
guy. I don't
that
have
is
a.
fine.
At least I like to think I don't have an ideology. I don't know. I mean, you'll have to tell me. But, or rather, you know, when I want to discuss something, right? If someone who's talking about something has taken a particular point of view, for the sake of the discussion, I'd want to take a point of view that, okay, let me take the opposing point of view and see how it goes.
That
Now,
that's how you work, na? That's how a corollary works. You
exactly.
you do reverse engineering, yeah. You come to that conclusion.
Right. But now, if I try to take that approach that someone has an opinion and I agree, disagree with it, doesn't matter. For the sake of the discussion, I want to start. Okay,
हाँ,
no, I disagree. Like, let's talk about this. That
हाँ.
conversation now directly leads to, boss, Papu ko vote do.
हाँ, see, the point is exactly that's the problem. कि आप चलो आपने क्वेश्चन कर लिया है ना कि मोदी जी ने ऐसा नहीं किया, मोदी जी दिस दैट, है ना. सो देन द काउंटर कम्स कि अच्छा तो फिर तू चाहता है कि हम पप्पू को वोट दे दे, है ना, और तू तो देगा ही देगा और हम भी हमारा वोट वेस्ट करें. डिस्कशन का पॉइंट ही चले गया ना यार. मतलब डिस्कशन कहाँ से स्टार्ट हुआ था और अब कहाँ चले गया है.
Right.
सो
And by the way, I want to point out this, that it's not just political discussions over here. General divisions, like simple things like perspectives on business, perspectives on health, end up becoming so contentious.
polarized.
Sorry, polarized. That's the right
Extremely
word.
polarized because you're right.
Everything, boss, and I don't know how this has happened because I've not been able to figure this shit out. You know, like how
I'll
the
tell
hell did it
you.
get so
I'll tell
polarized?
you. I'll tell you how it's
Right.
happened exactly. Okay. Since 2014, there has been an enhanced emphasis on hate. Okay, extreme
Okay.
hate. Whether it is
Okay.
against the Congress party or against anybody who stands for against the current political spectrum or anybody who stands against the status quo, he
Right.
or she has been firstly ostracized, secondly been
Okay.
named a terrorist or anti-national.
Okay.
So the idea being कि जितना ज्यादा हेट फैला सको उतना फैलाओ, बिकॉज एक्सट्रीम जब हेट हो जाएगा ना, एक्सट्रीम इमोशंस जब प्ले में आएंगे, then all of this nonsense will make sense. Changing changing a city's name from Allahabad to whatever it was, Prayagraj, है ना. Changing like small things that you think will not make sense to you right now, but when you're propagating extreme hate na, and when you made it acceptable at a household level कि हाँ इतना इतना हेट करना is good, is fine, is good for the nation. जब that idea is being propagated ना, then these small things will not really matter ना. Small things will, हाँ ये तो करना ही है, obviously इतना तो करना ही है. भगवा रंग करना ही है सारे के सारे
And
मस्जिदों पे,
and
क्यों नहीं
like
करना?
always, devil is always in the details, right? So these small
एग्जैक्टली,
small
एंड
things get,
इट्स द थियरी ऑफ रिलेटिविटी डूड। जब तुम
yeah.
एक्सट्रीम चेंजेस लेके आ रहे हो और उसको एक्सेप्टेबल बना रहे हो, देन द स्मॉल चेंजेस विल बी नेग्लिजिबल।
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And
And
like I
yeah.
mentioned previously also, so like they are constructing the parliament again ना,
Uh-huh.
2024 के पहले कंस्ट्रक्शन हो जाएगा। Their plan is to uh, extend the number of seats in the Lok Sabha. It is right now at 545.
Okay.
ठीक है? If you look for an article or a news, you'll find out. The plan is that they'll first extend the number of seats in the Lok Sabha. How they'll do it is they'll divide the country again into all these districts. जैसे अभी 545 सीट्स है, तो they'll redraw the district boundaries so that there are at least 650 or
Okay.
odd seats, है ना?
Okay.
Now, like you mentioned, the devil is in the details, right? What gerrymandering is a concept from the US. What it does is it's
Oh yeah,
basically
redraw boundaries to benefit a particular
voted
community or whatever it is.
community, है ना?
Yeah.
तो their idea
Yeah.
is कि they'll redraw districts such that whatever the population, 50% should be Hindu in every
Wow.
district. Okay. Now, if that happens, and I'm sure it's going to happen, what if it is going to happen?
Right.
The BJP will never lose power if that happens. Like, obviously, that's a broad statement, but what I'm trying to say is
I. Uh-huh.
they're trying to redraw district boundaries to make sure they get 50% of the vote in each and every district. So when that happens, you imagine you trying to talk, you're trying to oppose a law, say love jihad, right? Now, who would have imagined in 2011, 12, or even 13, or even 14 that a law like love jihad would be passed by states individually? And cut to
Right.
2021, it has been passed by Uttar Pradesh, it has been passed by
Uh-huh.
Karnataka, it has been passed by, I think, Andhra. What the fuck? Like, we are. I honestly did not think these were our priorities, and even if I was sure कि ऐसा introduce जरूर होगा, है ना, लोगों का ये सब matter करता है, but I was pretty sure that
Yeah,
it
yeah.
will be shut down by either institutions or fellow parliament members. But no, it is a law. It has been passed.
Right.
So things like this will become norm eventually because of that gerrymandering and the districts का boundaries. So कुछ भी आप सोचो ना, आपको जो दिमाग में आए वो आप पास कर सकते हो क्योंकि आपके पास एब्सोल्यूट
So
मेजोरिटी है।
build sort of dynasty. And I still believe that look, democracy works itself out. Okay, like one example is Maharashtra where they're not in power. One example is also Odisha. Where this was the best thing which I had read during the past election. On the same day, so Odisha election was there was a state election.
Right.
The same voting booths. Okay. And the interesting part was we tell that okay, democracy works, whether it works itself out or not, it's doubtful. The people voted political party in the state, BJD, I think Biju Janata Dal,
बीजू
or
जनता
if I'm
दल,
not wrong,
yeah.
and voted P in the center. I was like, wow,
Yeah, the same thing happens in Rajasthan also.
yeah,
People vote. So see, obviously the Indian voter is smart, है ना?
exactly, yeah.
Like you can't really fool him after a while. Like आप एक इलेक्शन में बना दोगे, दो में बना दोगे, तीसरे में वो आपको बना देगा. So it's not a question of consistent. But my issue is it has become a structural. Now they are bringing structural changes into the democracy
Okay.
itself. They've penetrated institutions. They've penetrated the Supreme Court, the CBI, the RBI, uh, the Monetary Commission, like any
Right.
institution you can think of, the Election Commission.
Right.
All these institutions were put in place to keep a check on the executive. है ना?
Okay.
In Baba Ambedkar's words, the executive has immense power. ठीक है? It has unchecked power in our democracy, in India's democratic system. Now, to keep a check on that, there were all these institutions that were established. There was the judiciary, there was the press, that was considered the fourth pillar of democracy, and all of that. You know, the BJP has systematically penetrated and destroyed the credibility of these institutions. So much so that now, when there is a governor, or there is any institution head that has been replaced, it is but obvious that it's a BJP guy who'll take the position over there.
And okay, for this, I have and I've, for this particular point, I mean, just to tell you about the polarization bit and all that, and I hate myself for starting to think like that, but they are in power, boss. They'll do whatever the F they want. Who are you to
Huh.
tell?
Agreed. See, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
All these things become justified now, have become justified because they're in power. Like, you get it. They've built such a narrative that anything that do just is justified because they are in power. है ना?
Okay.
So they don't really have to think about the consequences of their actions.
So this very
That is
lead.
a recipe for disaster. Like,
So I'm not sure about that, and this leads very nicely to my next point, which is why did something like this end up happening? And I blame a marketer like myself
huh.
or you for that matter.
Yeah,
Where,
we
so
all.
I mean, for those of you who don't know, guys, both of us run a video marketing business. We help create video ads and video campaigns for a lot of different customers. So if I am thinking from a pure marketing perspective, I think like a, I'm thinking in terms of, okay, how many impressions can I get,
Right.
and how many views can I get, how much engagement can I get, and from there, how will that translate to my overall narrative?
Right.
So I have a narrative and I have to drive a lot of impressions towards it, and I have to do this. And the easiest thing for me to do is to be contentious.
Yep. Yep.
For instance, a simple example is in the US. You must have noticed this, that couple of years back, US has this sport called the NFL. It's basically like rugby, and there was one of the most important position in that sport is what they call the quarterback. So the
Right.
quarterback is the one who gets the ball every possession and figures out what to do with the offense. So one of the quarterback was this guy called Colin Kaepernick, if I'm not wrong. That's his name.
Yeah. He took a knee, na?
You're right. And before every sport, every game they play the national anthem. And this particular quarterback took a knee during the national anthem, a sign of disrespect or whatever you want to call it. The interesting thing is, and what followed this, and why I believe marketers like us are to blame, is immediately after he did this, within 3 or 4 months, I'm not making this shit up, Siddharth. You can go look this up. Anyone in the audience can go look this up. Nike launched a campaign around him taking the knee, and the campaign was a massive hit.
Yeah, it's topical, na?
Because I couldn't believe it. And you know why it was a massive hit? They got impressions from people who for him, they got impressions from people who were against him. It became such a massive hit that a lot of other marketing guys have tried to replicate that I figured out how do I some cultural wave. And it really brings to question, at least for me, what was the initial intention of Colin.
Hey, dude, you can't
and
question the
I'm not,
intention. Come
I'm
on,
not,
dude.
I wouldn't, okay? I wouldn't. But the contract value was like tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars.
But that happened after he took the
It was
knee,
so
right?
huge.
That contract happened after he took the knee. He had no guarantees of getting a contract if he took a knee. Like that was the incentives were not there when he took the
So,
knee.
so see, the thing is, where this is my conspiracy brain talking. I honestly felt it was pre-planned or whatever it is because
Come
he
on, dude.
timed himself. He timed himself taking the knees, and this is the problem, right? Because I am looking from a marketing perspective. If I had to strategize and plan out this campaign, I would have planned it out like that.
No,
That
no.
look, when will I get
The thing is,
maximum visibility? I
Nike has
again,
this
I'm not at
playbook.
all. I am not. I'm not commenting on the message which he was trying to say. He just wanted to push gender equality, and I'm 100% for it. I don't think anyone is against it. But
Hey, he was
or
pushing
rather, I
Black
mean,
Lives Matter.
whatever. Like I don't have a sufficient understanding of that. But my point is, if I was strategizing this, and if my playbook was okay, I want to get maximum visibility for this campaign. This is how I would roll it out. And I start thinking that okay, I'm 200% sure that's how the marketing department in a lot of political parties work.
Yep.
That's how the marketing department in a lot of, I don't know, like these think tanks work. And this is the reason for the polarization if you really think about it.
Yep, agreed.
what,
It
what,
is.
what do you think, like?
See, I agree with your analogy that that's how the political parties think. You know, and in case of political parties, it's premeditated. I am not really sure whether it was in case of Colin Kaepernick, and Nike, because Nike has a playbook that it capitalizes on anything that's topical, right? And it's been doing that for years now.
Right.
What I am interested in is, uh, okay, let's agree on the playbook that okay, ऐसे hate फैल रहा है, ठीक है? The point what I'm interested in is how it has gone out of hand in our own homes. There are divisions within homes
Yep.
wherein people have stopped talking to each other because one is a supporter of Modi and the other is not. And that is a problem. वो नहीं होना चाहिए ना यार. आप like
Yeah.
politics is fine. आपका politics is also fine. You keep it out of the house.
Right.
You don't have to, like even in my house, it's a huge joint family, right? And we've been Congress supporters, loyalists for a long time, for the longest time, since independence we've voted for the Congress. But in
Right.
2014, my entire house voted for Modi except my granddad and me, because we were very clear कि नहीं होगा हमको हाथ को ही वोट देने का, है ना. My granddad was very clear कि उनको बचपन से सिखाया हुआ है कि हाथ के आगे बटन दबाना है
हाँ हाँ
और
हाँ
किसी
हाँ.
के आगे नहीं दबाना है ना.
Right.
एंड फॉर मी आई वाज प्रीटी क्लियर कि मेरे को मोदी को वोट नहीं देना है.
Whatever reason, you have your own
Whatever.
reasons.
हाँ,
Yeah.
I have my own reasons, है ना. But
Yeah.
that did not stop me from having a discussion with my dad and with my cousins and all of them. And even at that time, we had very healthy discussions. And I
Right.
clearly told them, "Kid, listen, you guys are gonna regret voting for Modi eventually.
Uh-huh.
You don't realize it right now, but 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, you'll hate it. You'll regret it."
Uh-huh.
And most of these guys have, when I've spoken to them again, they've accepted it कि हाँ यार गलती था, वो नहीं करना चाहिए था उसका वोट, मतलब क्या कर दिया उसने, है ना. That is fine, that kind of discussion is fine. But when it becomes a war, a war between two factions within your own family, that is a problem. Like, and that has started happening only after 2014, Nikhil. That is what I'm trying to say. उसके पहले इतना polarization नहीं था यार. उसके
So,
पहले मतलब ठीक है, होगा, वोट वोट दे दिया ना, खत्म करो. अभी तो
right.
हर बात पे कैसे वो कैसे मोदी जी को मना कैसे कर रहे हो तुम.
So I this very nicely feeds to my next point, and
हाँ.
we'll be speaking at length about this in the Hilltop podcast. So if I mean this is something which you find exciting and you want to join our conversation, comment below, follow us. We are there on Spotify, on YouTube. We'll be broadcasting on LinkedIn, etc. But this very nicely leads to my point, which is the impact of social media in this discussion.
Oh yeah. It is.
So if
There's
you
no
really
impact.
think
It is
about
all
it,
social media only. There's nobody else to blame. Like, why is your uncle who never in his life got angry also is suddenly
uh-huh,
so angry on anybody who
uh-huh,
talks against Modi ji? Why is
correct,
that happening? It's because of these WhatsApp messages, these Facebook groups where
you're right,
there are memes that are made के 70 सालों का जो गलत हुआ है उसको बदलने में 10 साल तो दो 20 साल तो दो मोदी जी को and dude, some of these WhatsApp forwards are just hilarious after a point because there's nothing that makes sense. But it
right,
all this is for us. But when it comes to our parents and our granddads and all these elders, they
uh-huh,
take WhatsApp as the written word. Like they think WhatsApp पे आया मतलब सही है गलत
uh-huh,
तो है ही नहीं है क्योंकि लिखा हुआ है ना इस पे कुछ
right, right,
मतलब
right, right.
they don't understand how it works है ना and because of that they form opinions based on troll armies who are
Uh-huh.
sending out forwards, which is a disastrous recipe for any country, any society, any household. That is what is happening.
I wanted to think about this, Siddharth.
Uh,
So, why this is the case, and why, generally speaking, elderly end up, you know, thinking that WhatsApp is news or WhatsApp is very influential. And speaking specifically about WhatsApp because it's freaking
yep.
penetrated everywhere. Okay.
Yeah, it's WhatsApp that does everything.
So, one thought process which I had is just 20, 25 years back, if
Hmm.
you had to get a piece of information,
Hmm.
and if that piece of information would come in the form of print,
Hmm.
if that piece of information would come as something which is written and it's printed and it's computerized, and if it would come to you, no
Hmm.
matter what it is, you would take it very, very seriously.
Yep.
Because once it's written, once it's published, everything doesn't get published. Only things which are
Exactly.
really important, which have been
Exactly.
researched, whatever it is, gets published. And this has been something which has been very difficult for a lot of the previous generation, even for myself sometimes to understand, is when I'm reading a blog, when I'm reading a post, if it is well written, whatever message that post is giving, I will take it seriously.
Yep.
And not just that, think, like, just push it forward a little bit more. Just 20 years back, video would be on a television which millions and millions of people would watch. The perception is anything on video is serious, is relevant, is well thought
Yep.
out, and I have to take it seriously.
Yep.
And the same thought process, if you bring it here, now creating a video is all you need is a smartphone if you think about it. But distribution has become so easy that we have to temper our expectation on what we really consume on these platforms because of how easy distribution is. So when distribution becomes easy, what happens? You'll see a drop in content quality, right? And when you see a drop in content quality, what do you mean by that? Can you trust the content? Is it verified? Is it well thought? Is it put together properly? Is he propagating the right message? All these factors, they end up falling down. And this is something which is very hard to digest. Forget about our older generation, even for me also, because if I see a well designed blog or a well produced video, I still start believing what that person is saying.
True. True.
And I think this is a major contributor because for them, if you think about it, the expectation of something computerized, printed, coming as a forward is news.
Yeah, it is news. It
Is
is.
information, is freaking I mean, we rely on Wikipedia, but whatever they relied on,
Yeah.
right, is like like patthar ki lakir type of stuff because of how hard it would be previously to get something computerized.
Yeah.
And this tempering of expectation that hey, when you have a digital medium like this, कि आपको थोड़ा संभल के सोचना पड़ेगा इसके बारे में क्योंकि
सब कुछ सच नहीं है and all that.
yeah, and we'll have to really spend time. I mean, I actually will try to educate this to my parents as well. And the second thing is, never has content been consumed at this scale. For
Yeah.
example, I have seen this at my home, and this is specifically talking about WhatsApp. If I calculate the screen on time of my phone, I am supposed to be of this generation, of the smartphone generation, and all that. I spend about say 4-5 hours on my phone in a day,
Yep.
and most of it is spread across various different applications. I spend time on Reddit. I spend time on, I don't know, some publications which I follow. I spend time on YouTube.
Yeah, that's
If I
an
see my
average screen time for all of us in the generation.
right, but if I see my dad's phone, and this was a shocker to me, he has a screen on time of about 4-5 hours, and all that 4-5 hours is on WhatsApp.
Oh, so shit.
So you just do the math, right? So that is why it is so influential. It's
Yep.
influential because you're spending so much time there, and that has become the way they celebrate. That has become the way they consume entertainment. That has become the way they consume information, and it's so important to temper the expectation that what you're getting on WhatsApp is not completely true.
Yep. Yep.
Like, what are your thoughts on this?
No, man, totally agreed. Because there is a there is a very small difference between giving a nuanced take on something and giving a extreme take on something. Like it's you can clearly see the difference between I'm sorry, you can't really see the difference between the two. And because of that, because these lines are so blurry, anything and everything that comes on WhatsApp, as there'll be something called breaking news ऊपर ही ऊपर, and they'll start off with saying अमेरिका के एक साइंटिस्ट ने ऐसा ऐसा डिस्कवर किया है. तो जैसे
Right,
अमेरिका का बात आता है तो वो सही है, वो गलत हो ही नहीं सकता ना. In our parents' minds, America
right,
was a place where सोने की रोडे हैं वहां पे, है ना.
right, right, right,
तो इन देयर माइंड कि अमेरिका का साइंटिस्ट बोल रहा है तब तो सही बात है, कुछ गलत
right,
है ही नहीं. और एक सर्वे में पाया गया कि इंडिया में ऐसे ऐसे, कौन सा सर्वे, कौन है आपका सोर्स, ये सब कोई पूछने का वेट ही नहीं करता है, क्योंकि
right,
क्योंकि उनको भी आगे भेजना है सेम चीज. दे वांट टू सिग्नल, दे आल्सो वांट टू वर्च्यू सिग्नल ना, कि यार मैं ऐसे
right,
ऐसे 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 कर लगता हूँ, ऐसे कर सकता हूँ,
right,
है ना. मेरा
right,
मेरा इतना इंफॉर्मेशन का सोर्स है.
right.
अब होता क्या है इन सब के बीच में
Uh-huh.
कि इंटरनली द गाय हु इज ऑपरेटिंग दिस, है ना, जिसको आ रहा है, लेट्स से योर डैड, ही इज
Uh-huh.
गेटिंग अ मैसेज, इज फॉरवर्डिंग इट टू 10 डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स, है ना.
Uh-huh.
Internally he is also forming the opinion of that WhatsApp message
Right,
for himself. He is internalizing it कि ये तो
right.
सही बात है. And because he has forwarded it to 10 other people, now
Uh-huh.
he believes it even more because he is the source now.
He's like, huh, how can I send something wrong?
Exactly, and that is a huge problem for everybody, because अभी मैं कुछ बोलता हूँ तो मुझे उसमें 100% बिलीफ है जब भी मैं बोलता हूँ ना.
Correct.
And that's, they also have a 100% belief in it.
Right,
उनको ये नहीं पता कि सामने से कोई एक ग्रुप का एडमिन है जो पार्टी का कार्य करता है, उसको 250 रुपए मिलते हैं दिन के, 500 रुपए दिन के मिलते हैं, 10 मैसेज फॉरवर्ड करना है उसको 250
right,
ग्रुप में.
right,
वो मैकेनिज्म का पता नहीं है. तो इसका
right.
ना मतलब या तो दो चीज है, ठीक है, या तो
Uh-huh.
आप पूरे का पूरा मैकेनिज्म समझा दो कि व्हाट्सएप ऐसे चलता है, मैसेज ऐसे बनते हैं, ऐसे
Uh-huh.
फॉरवर्ड करते हैं, लाइव उनको सामने बना के बता दो कि आप खुद भी बना के न्यूज भेज सकते हो.
Actually, Siddharth, I actually want to show something so to the audience. So
Okay.
I'll just share my screen. What I'm doing
Cool,
now
cool.
is I'll just show you how easy it is to produce something with the breaking news banner. Okay.
Exactly.
So, so, so let me
Oh,
share my
fuck.
screen. Let me share my screen. So I am in this free application. It's called capwing.com. Okay, completely free. कुछ पैसा नहीं लगता है. I go here. I click create new project. I click start with a blank canvas and I'll select the aspect ratio. मतलब 1:1
Nikhil,
मतलब
your
square
screen is
आएगा.
not visible.
Oh, okay. Just a moment. Yeah, can you see my screen?
हाँ.
So what I'll do is I'll go to this completely free application called capwing.com. Okay, I click on create new project. I click on start with blank canvas. और फिर मैं यहाँ पे अलग अलग एस्पेक्ट रेशियो सेलेक्ट कर सकता हूँ, जैसे 1:1 स्क्वायर हो गया, 16:9 यूट्यूब का जो वीडियो फॉर्मेट है हो गया. एंड देन आई गो टू इमेजेस एंड आई सर्च ब्रेकिंग न्यूज़ and I'll pick the one which I like. So let me see. Mm, this looks nice. Looks
Yep.
interesting, right?
Live.
Yeah. Or this also okay. I want something better. Choice दिखा रहा हूँ आपको, आप देखो. This looks
First
very
वाले
nice.
लेना. हाँ.
Yeah. So let me delete the other ones. This is quite nice. Okay. And then what I'll do is I'll click on record. I'll click record camera. Testing, check 1, 2, 3, 4, check A, B, C, D. I'll just stop it. And what I'll do is okay. So you know what I'm doing now?
Super.
And now if I play this, did you see this?
Yep.
And obviously, if I spend a little bit more time, I can make it even better. I can change the threshold or whatever it is. And I just, maybe reduce my size. Whatever. Point is now I have a breaking news backdrop and it's ready and I send this and anything can be breaking news. I mean, just to show the audience that how easy it is to produce something like this.
Now imagine if producing a video is so easy, how easy is making a WhatsApp message? Like, उसमें तो कोई मेहनत भी नहीं है यार, उसमें बस मतलब ट्रांसलेट करना है हिंदी में,
Yeah.
थोड़ा बोल्ड कर देना ऊपर का. So वही, because of all these, obviously like these are tools है ना, and any party will use whoever uses the tools at their disposal the most efficiently is going to end up winning elections. Elections are a game. You have to
Exactly.
hack them, है ना.
Yeah.
What we are losing out meanwhile is nuance, is effective debate and discussion, and considering everybody as the nation, like है ना, like एक सबको साथ लेके चलने वाली जो बात होती है एक नेशन चलाने में, तो that is being left out, and there are a lot of people who are fine with it unless it comes to them.
Right.
That is what is going to happen eventually. Like they've come for the Christians already. They were already behind the Muslims. Who do you think
And-
next is? It's the Jews of India. Who are the Jews of India? It's us. It's the
Right.
Jain people. It's the Madu people.
Yeah. That's yeah.
And there's
that's gonna be
already
very-
hate. There's already hate against money lenders
Right.
and these people who take byaj and interest. So anybody who's opposed to anything that a party is saying or is believing in will get will face action. There's no room for discussion anymore. और अपने घर में ही नहीं हो पा रहा है यार डिस्कशन. मेरा प्रॉब्लम बस उससे है कि
Right.
हर चीज, everything has become a number, and an engagement optic. Like nothing is left to actual discussion. When was the last time we changed our opinions on anything?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I don't remember doing it myself. I'm not talking about anybody else. And that is a problem, right? Like how are we going to get beyond this? Because अब ये तो हो गया, है
Right.
ना? अब अपन है इस जगह पे, अब कुछ चाहे जो कर लो, ये चल रहा है. How are we going to get out of this? We are not. We are only going to get deeper and deeper. So much so that it will come to a point where political discussions will be banned at home. क्योंकि अगर कर लिया तो पक्का झगड़ा होना है. अभी भी there are so many instances where I avoid political discussions because I know it'll only piss me off and end up costing me my relationship with the other person.
Right. That's really sad. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's, yeah, that's a thing which as marketers have done, so that we've figured
Yeah.
out the best way to get clicks at all cost. Uh, it's the sad reality. Okay, what are you gonna do? I don't think this changes. I mean, I did not want this conversation to end like this. I don't think this changes. I don't know. What do you think? I really doubt this changes.
No, it's not. It's not going to change, and it is only going to get worse from here, is what I'm saying. Like, okay, I'll call it out. Okay, I'll make this prediction. Either not the next election, but uske baad wala election, BJP will full out go into uh, Hindu Rashtra mode, and all anything and everything opposing that ideology will be cut off. Uh, all religions who are not abiding by Hindu culture, or who are not directly under the influence of Hindu culture, will face the music, and will become a nation of haters. That is the problem यार. मतलब तुम अपने घर पे भी अगर हेट के ऊपर जी रहे हो, तो तुम how are you going to love? Like how are you going to feel good about something, or work for somebody else, work for somebody's betterment, create impact?
Right.
All these things come out of empathy, come out of love. What these algorithms and these tools are doing is they're killing the empathy and killing the love from our discussions and debates. They're just trying to get as much hate as possible from within us.
Right.
There's उतना hate है भी नहीं अपने अंदर. They're just manufacturing it. मतलब कहाँ से आ रहा है? Like किसको पड़ी है यार? तुम आज तेरे को फर्क पड़ता है क्या कि कोई मुसलमान बंदा तेरे यहाँ बाजू में आके रहे नहीं रहे? Who gives a shit, dude? We don't talk to our
Oh, dude,
neighbors.
I'm only worried about, trying to grow my business, maybe relax on a weekend. I don't know.
Exactly. Nobody
Yeah.
gives a shit, dude. Like there's already so much going on in our lives.
Yeah.
Why would we have a problem with religion, with people based on their religion? Like it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And, this polarization and the entire divisions which have been caused at home, I also feel, very nicely leading on to my next point, is a lot of this is a result of a lack of identity.
Yep.
You got what I'm trying to
Totally
say?
agreed. Yep.
A
Yep.
lack of purpose, a lack of, I don't know how to put this. What's the right way of putting this?
So there's too
So
much
I
disguised
truly think,
unemployment
yeah.
in India.
No, not just that, not just that. What has happened is the way we think of things have been influenced by so many different parties. When I say parties, I'm not talking about political parties. I'm saying so many different institutions, like the Western media, the Indian media, that cultural back and forth, your own temple, your home spiritual guru, your elders. In school, they teach you something. It has created a completely confused mindset in a lot of people. Previously, for example, a simple example of this is because of the way India was not independent for a long period of time because of foreigners. They were generally seen in a very negative light, but a lot of big businesses in India now end up exporting to those countries, and now they are supposed to be seen in a positive light. I'm not telling it's wrong, I'm not telling it's right. Point is, do you understand the kind of conflict it creates in a person's head sometimes? You're muted, Siddharth.
I'm saying, as someone who, let's take a teenager's example. Somebody who's
Right,
just turning 18. He's
right.
exposed to so much hatred already, and
Uh-huh.
he's exposed to most of his leaders coming up to him and telling him that, that guy's wrong, that guy's wrong, that guy's wrong, that guy's wrong.
Uh-huh.
So he'll respond only to hate now. He's not going to respond to somebody who says मैं कल आके bridge बना दूंगा. He'll be like, what? I don't need, like, I don't care about a bridge, है ना? And uh, so that is the problem, right? Like, that is a major problem if you think about it, wherein
Yeah,
anybody who's just growing up, who's just become a new voter, we are captivating his thought process for life. We are turning it into something of a negative, something very negative, which is not, it's not ideal. Like, you want someone who's just become a teenager, who's just turned 21. You want him to be filled with optimism, you want him to be a positive person, right? Only then can he go ahead and create impact. But are we really doing
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Are we
absolutely.
are we creating such individuals, or are we producing such people? I don't think we are.
Dude, and in general, if you think about it, India is a very cynical country. This is a translation of just that. And I am also at fault here. I find myself, thinking very cynically or very pessimistically about a lot of things. And this is something which I think we should learn from, the Western countries, is that entire concept of which, I mean, now it's no longer there, but around 50s, 60s, and 70s, when they're going through a cultural revolution, one of the push which the government had done is this entire thought process of the concept of the American dream.
Yep.
And have we really, deeply thought about what an Indian dream should look like? What should I aspire towards? Right?
Exactly.
And typically speaking, you get an answer which is very vague, that you should aspire towards spirituality and moksha. And I get that. I'm sure there is merit in that. That is something which is valuable in that. That is something which is so long term. That is
Yep.
something which takes 30, 40, 50, 60 years. I can't think about it. I I don't know
You
how
have
else to tell it.
you have
I'm
to just
I'm not
start
able
the
to
journey.
visualize it.
Yep.
Right. And okay, so this is something which I really feel that some Indian scriptures have very nicely spoken about this, which is, and I've at least tried to think about my life like that, because I didn't want to be directionless, if that's the right way of putting it. So they've said that you try to spend the first quarter of your life uh, working on learning, right? Learn as much as possible. You figure out how to learn for the rest of your life. The next quarter of your life you try to spend in earning as much as possible. build sufficient wealth such that you never have to think about it. The next quarter of your life you spend in building your reputation, build a reputation which will last generations, build a reputation which you will be proud of, and the final quarter of your life you spend on giving yourself up to, for the world and for the society, renunciation. And this was something which I read in a very nice Hindu scripture, I forget which, but I never hear any one of these leaders speaking about this. Like, you're muted, by the way. So, like, have you really thought about it like that? And I was like, this is such a good direction if you really think about, like, what am I supposed to do on a daily basis? This is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to wake up and do. And
Hmm.
it's so sad that something like this also will end up getting politicized because it's coming from a Hindu scripture the other way. This is something which is a problem both way, guys. It's not a one
Yeah.
way street.
True, true.
What do you think about this? I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I had never thought of it this way, but it makes so much sense. Like, so there are two parts, right? There is a Hindu religion and then there is Hindutva. है ना? The Hindu religion is beautiful. है ना?
Right,
There is so much that has been written under Hindu scriptures that
right,
no other religion comes even close to it.
right,
And there is insane amount of knowledge and wisdom and wealth and wit inside these scriptures that,
right.
if propagated and communicated and practiced and implemented, can lead to so much better lives personally for everybody.
Absolutely.
But none of it is being talked about. What is
Yeah.
being talked about is हिंदुत्व बचाना है तो मुस्लिम्स को हटाओ
Whatever,
या उसको
X
हटाओ, जो भी
religion.
हटाओ, है
Yeah,
ना?
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
What is being preached is not what is actually inside the scriptures, what is actually the religion. And
Right,
you're so right. If the leaders actually end up preaching these things, talking
right.
about these things, they will
Yeah,
come into the limelight.
yeah.
Why will they not? But like, as a country, we've had this problem with the I don't know how do I put it. So we've always been obsessed with a god like figure, है ना? And we've always wanted to rely on that god like figure, whether it is for our shortcomings or for our achievements, either
And
way.
I want to add on to that. This is a topic which we will be covering in the future, by the way. Why religious cults exist so strongly in India.
Hmm.
And Siddharth, I'll be honest with you. I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's wrong. It's easier to relate to a person than an idea.
Right.
And the onus is on that person to be someone who's very responsible, right? The
Right.
onus is on the person who has got that trust from a lot of people to be very
Exactly,
responsible.
but that will
Yeah.
not always be true, right? Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so for example, let's say right from independence or pre-independence also, the one god in India was Bapu, right? Mahatma Gandhi.
Right. Right.
Whatever he said was a patthar ki lakeer, है ना?
Right.
But it's not true that it is also true that everything he said is not right. Like, there are some things that he said which were downright
Right.
problematic, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
nobody likes to question that. Like,
Right.
whoever questions it is ostracized. Now,
Right.
that was followed by Jawaharlal Nehru, then Indira Gandhi,
Right.
then I think a few leaders in between, and then now Modi ji, right? We've always relied on one person and we've made him a god, and then we've attributed all of our shortcomings to him and all of our successes also to him. कि उन्होंने बोल दिया तो सही है, मोदी जी कर रहे हैं तो ठीक ही होगा, and all of
Right.
this. And this also, I think, comes from our childhood,
Right.
as Indians, है ना? As Indians, we are always looked down upon if we question things, है ना?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
बचपन से क्या बोलते हैं कि पापा ने बोला तो सही है, पापा जो बोल
Right.
रहे हैं वो गलत गलत हो ही नहीं सकता. Like,
Right.
dude, I am not even kidding. There is a cousin of mine, है ना, whose whole argument every time I used to ask him why. in our childhood, that why do you think this is true? His whole argument was, Papa ne bola, Papa jhoot thodi bolte hain. And I don't blame him because that's what he's been taught since he was a kid, right?
Right.
And that's what all of us have been taught कि पापा झूठ नहीं बोलते हैं.
Yeah.
But sorry, पापा झूठ बोल सकते हैं. पापा भी बोलते हैं, मम्मी भी बोलती है, सब झूठ बोलते हैं, है ना? एक्सेप्ट करना पड़ेगा वो चीज.
Right.
रियलिटी डिफरेंट है. अपन अपना क्या है, फेरी टेल खत्म ही नहीं हो रहा अपना.
Right.
अपना साला चले जा रहा है अपना. वो एक तो इतने टाइम पुराना महाभारत रामायण चल रहा है, वो अभी तक चल रहा है ना. और अपन उसको मान ही नहीं रहे कि अपन वो मिथोलॉजी, अपन उसको सही मान बैठे हैं कि हाँ ये ऐसे ही होता है, वो जो बोल रहे हैं सही है.
Yeah.
And because of that whole idea of developing a scientific temper, है ना. अगर आप अपना preamble पढ़ोगे जाके अभी, right now open the preamble, you will find the mention of developing a scientific temper, है
Right.
ना. Where is that? I don't see that at all. You try and ask of why in class, है ना. कोई भी साइंस का चल रहा होगा एक्सप्लेनेशन, कोई थियरी समझा रहा होगा मैडम, तुम उठ के पूछ लो कि क्यों हो रहा है ऐसा. हो रहा है ठीक है, बट क्यों हो रहा है. द टीचर इटसेल्फ हिमसेल्फ विल बी लाइक व्हाट द फक, इसका ये तो आउट ऑफ सिलेबस है, ये तो बोला ही नहीं हमको पढ़ाने को, इसका कोई जवाब नहीं है. क्यों नहीं होता है, बस पढ़ लो चुपचाप, सीख लो. You remember, Nikhil, this used to
Dude,
happen
I
with us in
have-
college.
So you remember in class? Yeah, I was gonna say that. This is something
Exactly.
which has been a problem. So guys, I am someone who, if I have a question, I'll ask it. Okay, and I think Siddharth also comes in that
Same
category.
thing, dude,
At least
yeah.
initially he was. Later he just gave up.
Because they didn't see a response. Now, you remember the vice
Yeah,
principal
yeah.
mentioning.
I would
"Yeah,
commonly be
you have-"
told.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
So whenever I would have a question, and it would be I was a science student, I was an engineer. It would be a question where I'm just, curious. Okay,
Exactly.
why like this? Why not like this?
simple,
Or I
yeah,
have
why?
seen this. Why is it like this? Why not like this? And in fact, Siddharth, if you remember, me and Siddharth had participated in a video making contest.
Yeah, that's
and
where
that
this whole thing started. Our obsession with
so
video.
it actually started there, where we were in a physics class, and they said that if you heat a solid, it becomes a liquid. If you heat a liquid, it becomes a gas. And I don't know if you remember, like idli के साथ तो ऐसा नहीं होता है. So I asked, okay, why is it like that in idli? And they'll be like, I'll discuss with you later, or brush it off
come
and
to
stuff
me
like that.
after
And we made
class
an
and
entire
all that.
video. Right. And it was such a question which you see every day, boss. Like you wake up and you see that, and
Exactly.
it was brushed off. And I think honestly, the Hindu culture which we are in, and the at least what we are taught is to be curious, is to be someone. Dude, we've always led in science and tech. Okay.
And how is that?
Like,
if our
historically-
ancestors were not curious, you really think Aryabhatta
Yeah.
would have invented zero? Like अगर उसके मम्मी पापा
Exactly.
बोल देते कि नहीं होता कुछ, वन से ही होता है, तो चुपचाप पढ़ 1 2 3 4, क्या जीरो कैसे इन्वेंट करता भाई वो? That is the problem ना. क्यूरियोसिटी को कल्टिवेट करना पड़ता है यार. क्यूरियोसिटी को एनकरेज करना
Yeah,
पड़ता
yeah.
है. अपने प्रियम्बल में क्यों लिखा है कि all of us are supposed to develop a scientific temper. Scientific temper का
Right.
मतलब ही ये होता है कि you question things from a scientific standpoint. कि बॉस
Right.
ऐसा हो रहा है तो क्यों हो रहा है ना?
Right.
आप नोटिस कर लो अभी भी आपके स्कूल्स में या कहीं भी जाओ. आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट दीज फैंसी एज स्कूल्स, इंटरनेशनल स्कूल्स. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट लेजिट जहां
Majority
पे
of the population.
मेजॉरिटी पढ़ता है.
Right.
वहां पे किसी ने पूछ लिया कि ये सर ऐसा क्यों होता है, तो 2 थप्पड़ लगती है बंदे को कि चुपचाप पढ़ जो बता रहे हैं, रट्टा मार और पास होके निकल. हमको 50 बच्चों को पढ़ाना है, तू अकेला नहीं है ना. तो कैसे होगा साइंटिफिक टेम्पर? क्वेश्चन आपने क्वेश्चन करना ही बंद करा दिया यार, बचपन में बंद करा दिया. There are few people who still end up being end up asking questions and all that. But those are the anomaly. I'm saying that they should be the general case. They should not be the anomaly. और वो एनकरेज करने के लिए पूरा इकोसिस्टम अपने को चेंज करना पड़ेगा, मतलब अपने को थिंकिंग में थोड़ा चेंज लाना पड़ेगा. सेम थिंग अप्लाइज टू द पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज ऑल्सो ना यार. लाइक देयर इज वन गॉड लाइक गॉड मैन, है ना, हु इज नॉट टू बी क्वेश्चनड वॉट एवर ही सेज एंड डज.
Yeah,
एंड दैट itself is a recipe for disaster. अभी नहीं, इवेंचुअली जाके तो वो फूटेगा ही ना यार.
100%. And I want to add to this, like, just to give you an example of how polarization is such a big issue. And I want to give an example of this where we were speaking about politics. I want to speak about something else, which is divisions which have formed otherwise, which I think shouldn't have. So, I'm sure you guys know me and Siddharth run a YouTube channel called Home Banao, over 30,000 subscribers, and we're trying to cover a lot of home related topics.
Right.
In that, one of the topics since a year and a half I have been trying to work on is Vastu.
Oh.
And now the thing with Vastu is, and I have seen in most homes, including mine, is there is either firm belief or firm opposition from someone like me. Like, आप ये क्या बोल रहे हो?
There's no middle ground.
There's no middle ground. And the reason I bring this up is when I started researching on it and I actually read some of the books which Vishwamitra had written. Vishwamitra was supposed to be the author of the Vastu books. He was an architect. He was an architect long ago, and he made a lot of observations over a long period of time. He was a scientist, boss. He approached architecture like that. He had made a lot of observations around wind, sunlight, around, and I don't know how scientific this is, but around magnetic effect of the earth. And the problem is, I don't think the firm believers of Vastu also know a lot of these things.
Yeah.
And I don't think the firm opposers of Vastu also know a lot of these things.
Yeah. That is a major problem. Like जितना भी discussion और opposition और hate चल रहा है ना, अगर आप topic को पकड़ोगे और उसको like उसके foundations तक जाओगे, उसके first principles तक जाओगे, तो you'll come to realize that difference है ही नहीं भाई. There is no difference. We are both talking about the same thing. We just have different approaches to things.
For example, one of the things which he said is, this is something which every home these days has, is you gotta keep your kitchen far away from where you keep your cash. And that's very obvious. Like, if you logically think about it, he also explained this very logically, that look, if your kitchen, there's chances it catches fire. That's the first place where the fire starts in any home. You obviously want it away from your wealth.
Yep.
And he's told this in terms of Vastu, and the preachers of Vastu explain it in such weird ways. You'll be like, क्या बोल रहा है भाई ये?
हाँ, exactly. उतना है ही नहीं complicated जितना तू बना रहा है. मतलब it is as simple as what you just said. Like there's a logical explanation behind it. It's not like randomly कोई बोल रहा है.
Right.
और dude, propaganda का सबसे बड़ा enemy logic है ना? Like अगर तुम logic बता दोगे तो सामने वाला फिर सवाल पूछेगा ना कि यार ये सब तो ठीक है, अब मेरा ये क्या बोलते हैं, मेरे घर के आसपास रोड नहीं बन रही, उसका क्या हुआ? या मेरे कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी में आपको वोट दिया था, मेरे वहां पे पानी नहीं आ रहा. तो तुम ये सब सवाल करने लग जाओगे ना. फिर तुम ये सवाल नहीं करोगे कि आर्यन खान ड्रग्स लेता है कि नहीं, और या फिर वो क्या बोला था. दैट इज इट्स अ गेम यार. यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड, यू नीड टू बी स्मार्ट इनफ टू सी व्हेन यू आर ट्राइंग टू बी डिस्ट्रैक्टेड एंड व्हेन द गवर्नमेंट इज ट्राइंग टू प्ले विथ यू.
Yeah.
You need to pick these ends.
Yeah, I mean, so divisions like these are really sad. I don't think they change. I think the best which you can do, and I mean, if I have anything to say for you, is just explain the process of how information is created. And I'm 100% sure your parents, your friends, your siblings are smart enough to figure stuff out after that. You don't have to change their opinion.
Exactly.
Rather, just explain the process.
You can't change their opinion, like how much ever you try.
Exactly. Right.
The best thing that you can do is like Nikhil said कि explain it to them कि भाई ऐसे भी बन सकता है, आपने जो forward अभी पढ़ा है, it's not necessarily news, like आप भी वो
Correct.
बना के भेज सकते हो किसी को, तो उन्हें वो
Right.
लॉजिक समझाओ है ना कि इसके पीछे ऐसे ऐसे होता है और इसलिए ये शायद फेक हो सकता है, शायद ये जरूरी नहीं है कि ये सच है। तो कोई भी इंसान को अगर आप लॉजिक समझाओगे किसी चीज का, तो द प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ हिम बिलीविंग इट इज मच हायर।
Correct.
So that's the best thing you can do. You can't really change opinions, you can't really change the direction of the discussion because it's
Right.
only going to go one place कि मोदी नहीं तो कौन, मोदी नहीं तो कौन। तो stop trying, rather you explain to them कि ऐसे ऐसे हो रहा है।
Right. So that's all for today, guys. This was a really interesting episode. I think, I don't know. This is going to be something as a conversation topic which we'll keep covering.
Yep.
Because this is something which I think we speak about a lot, right? Especially given that we are marketing professionals. This is like literally all we're thinking all day long is how do you change opinion, right?
And how do you form opinions? Yeah.
Right. So thanks a lot for watching. Thank
Let
you,
us know
Siddharth.
what topics you guys want us to cover in future episodes in the comments.
Absolutely. This stream will be available on our YouTube channel. It's available on Spotify. You can log into it, check it out anytime you want. And
And
thanks
also
a lot for
tomorrow's
watching.
topic, Nikhil, you want to tell them about that?
Oh yeah, of course. How can I
Yeah.
miss? We have a really fun topic tomorrow, and I think this is something which would have helped me as well.
Yeah, it would have helped me also. It helped all of us.
Yeah. So yeah, it would have helped me as well. So we are going to talk about what Indians need to understand about relationships.
Yep. And for that, we are also calling a couples therapist.
Okay.
She's a professional and she'll be talking about how relationships work and don't work and all of these. So any questions you guys have about relationships or how we're supposed to approach them, just let us know and we'll ask the
And if you're
person.
wondering how is that topic so random, guys, I told you it's the hilltop. We're gonna talk about anything and everything.
Yeah, and so the idea is a lot of these things have been troubling us as well as people individually. So we want to,
Yeah.
discuss about it. कि यार है क्या यार, मतलब relationship का scene क्या है?
Right.
मतलब, and I'm sure everybody has the same problem. So let's just talk about it. बात करने से बेहतर ही होता है कि कुछ हो ना हो तो बात कर ही लेते हैं.
Done. Awesome,
Alright,
guys. See you tomorrow. We have a really fun episode. The topic is what Indians need to understand about relationships, and I'd love to, I'd love to make sure that you hang out with us as well. Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.
Bye bye.